I remember growing up and listening to guys like Kirk Hammett or Slash or Zakk Wylde, and always was wondering, how are they getting such awesome solos? And I don't see them moving a whole ton around the fretboard for a lot of these awesome, really good sounding licks. And what I found 20 years ago that made such a huge dent in my playing was 5 notes. And today we're going to be talking about those 5 notes. Today we're going to be talking about the pentatonic scale. Nothing has made such a big difference as learning these 5 box patterns. They are some of the most great scales to learn that are stepping stones to scales like the major scale or the minor scale or modes. And today we're going to go over all 5 patterns in major and minor. I'm going to show you why it's so cool that they're interconnected, how to learn just these 5 patterns and have everything down for major and minor. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. This is, I'm sure there's a million videos on YouTube about the pentatonic scale. I'm going to give you my unique take on it. We're going to talk about all the major boxes, all the minor boxes. We're also going to talk about how to connect them, how to make bigger boxes from 2 patterns, maybe 3 patterns. And I'm also going to show you how to use passing tones to get to the next note in the step. So let's get right into it. All right, so let's do this. The first thing to know is the scale patterns. And I think it's really cool to know these because knowing any scale pattern will allow you to make that scale from any root note. The major pattern is 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. Those are the 5 notes that we're using for the major scale. And for the minor pentatonic scale, we're using the 1, the flat 3, the 4, the 5, and the flat 7. So that is what makes it up. If you start from what we're going to do today, we're going to work on G major and E minor. And this is why it's good that you know your key signatures, because we're going to work in G major, but the relative minor are going to be basically the same boxes. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about and show you how you can start on a major or start on a minor depending on what box shape you pick. So let's start with the first one for G. We're going to have our middle finger here on the 3rd fret of the low E, and we're going to play 3, 5, 2, 5, 2, 5, 2, 4, 3, 5, 3, 5. So now the coolest thing to know, one of the coolest things I think, is that where your pinky lands is the next note of the next box. So I'm going to take my pinky off the 5th fret, which was the 2nd note of the first box, and I'm going to use my index finger instead. Let me zoom out a little bit here. Okay. So for the 2nd box, we're going to do 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 4, 7, 5, 8, 5, 7. That's the 2nd box pattern of G major pentatonic. And again, just like the first pattern, we're going to take our index finger and move on up to the 7th fret, where it's 7, 10, 7, 10, 7, 9, 7, 9, 8, 10, 7, 10. And again, if you notice, I was doing 7, 10 as the first couple notes of that. It was on the B and the D. And the D is actually, again, linked. It'll be 10, 12, 10, 12 for the 4th box. 9, 12, and 9, 12. And then 10, 12, 10, 12 again. And then finally, for the most famous box pattern, we're going to start up on the 12th fret. And it's going to be 12, 15, 12, 14, 12, 14, 12, 14, 12, 15, and then 12, 15 again. And then we just start over again at the 15th fret with our first box pattern. Those are the 5 box patterns. They're super awesome and they're super easy. And I think them being interconnected allows you to make bigger box patterns. So if I take something like the first 2 patterns, that is the first 2 box patterns, but now you have a bigger scale. You have 2 of those box patterns, and you can really just use them to kind of go up the whole neck, really. Kind of uninspired, but you know what I mean. You get what I mean. So that's the first thing, is that those are the 5 patterns, but the cool thing about this is that if you already know those patterns, then you already know the patterns for the minor scales as well, the minor pentatonic. And the reason that is we take our 5th pattern from the major scale, the major pentatonic, and we use it as the first pattern for the G minor scale here. So if we were going to do G minor pentatonic, we would just take that 5th pattern from G major pentatonic and move it on down here to the 3rd fret. So that's that 3 6, 3 5, 3 5, 3 5, 3 6, 3 6. And then you'll notice again with the minor pentatonic they're also connected. So my pinky's on the 6th fret here. I'm going to play that first G major box pattern as our 2nd pattern for the G minor pentatonic scale. So what's happening is you're taking, if you started with G major and you played that last box pattern, you're taking that 5th pattern, and for G minor pentatonic, you're moving it all the way back down to G on the 3rd fret, and then your next pattern on the 6th fret is just the first pattern that we played from G major. Hopefully that makes sense. Like I said, it pays to know your major and minor pentatonics. Something like C major pentatonic would start on the 8th fret, and you would use that same box pattern we learned at the beginning. But if you wanted to use the 5th pattern that we learned earlier on, then you would have C minor pentatonic. And that's what I think. I think they're really, really helpful. I'm not doing any flashy stuff right now, but I think they're really, really helpful. If you did want to add a couple extra cool notes in between patterns, let's go back to G minor pentatonic. So that's that 3 6. On the A string, you might want to do 3 4 5. So include that C sharp on the way up to the D. And then maybe up on the G string, you want to do a little 5 6. Another one I like to do is, this note is not in minor pentatonic. I would do maybe 3 4 on the G string and then move up to 3 on the B. So these are super, super fun scales. They are made such a big difference in my playing and allowed me to start soloing at a very young age, and that made guitar fun. I think that's still what makes me play guitar all these years later. A lot of people, to relax, will sit down and play some of their favorite chords on the guitar, just strumming along. I actually like to just put on a jam track and play some pentatonic runs over that jam tracks. I think they're a ton of fun. I hope this lesson was helpful for you guys. If you have any questions, leave a comment in the comments below. And if you want to be notified when I'm going to do another video, be sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys soon.